To the Hooligans pitch. It's a little bit different today. Michael's out with an illness. He was not match fit for this one. So here I am. I got to give it to the people. We still rocking with the Hooligans pitch today. So I'm alone, but in solidarity with Michael's illness, sticking to water today. Let's jump in to match day 16. See what craziness happened over the weekend. And there was some. Let's see. First, I'm just going to go down the list here. It's how I play it this week. No Michael to control me. Huh. I kid. Anywho, let's get into Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. Wow. Alisson coming back was huge for Liverpool in this game. I mean, he only made 3 saves, but I'd argue they were 3 vital saves. I mean, especially at the end of that game, Liverpool got the lead right at the start of stoppage time, and Crystal Palace nearly tied it up off of a free kick, if not for Alisson's big save, and he had a couple more throughout the game. So that just shows how important he is to that team. I think I saw that he has denied an expected 11 or 12 goals or something. That's nuts. But hey, that's the kind of players you need in a team that's fighting for the Premier League, fighting in, Europa League this season, but would be Champions League. So, good to have him back, I guess. Do got to talk about that VAR call, just because it kind of plays into a later game. Crystal Palace, dude runs in for the ball. Defender comes, gives him a little challenge. It looks soft. I'd agree it's soft. But we've seen that called before, right? It's never an easy call, I guess. They look so soft, but then again, as we've talked about on this podcast time and time again, you slow things down, you can nitpick and make contact look more significant than it really was. They wanted to try and argue that his standing leg was taken out in the process of getting that ball. I don't know. It felt soft to me either way, but again, it's a foul we've seen called, so it makes sense. I'm okay with it for now. But we'll get to the later call in a bit. But wow, Harvey Elliott gets the winning goal right at the start of stoppage time. So that was just chef's kiss of a goal. But Crystal Palace, you just gotta try and press the guy. You let him walk up and take this shot. So props to Harvey Elliott. Definitely gets goal of the week nomination from me. And just because we are kind of unintentionally keeping track of it, Crystal Palace used 5 subs. Roy Hodgson, 5 subs equals loss. He's making a list so he can show the board that we don't do 5 subs at this club, Anywho, on to the next one. We had Wolves versus Nottingham Forest. Look, Matty T, he's back in action, okay? He rightfully, I think, gets his place back. Their other keeper just wasn't really doing it, wasn't really making enough saves, and I think it's not solely on the keepers here. It's a team issue as well. But hey, nice to see Matty T back out there getting a start. This game was a little more back and forth, or I guess level playing field than I expected it to be. The Wolves defense, I felt like it was just they were just sleeping, Toffolo gets a great header, but Wolves defense just kind of let it happen. No one really made any significant challenges or tried to make it too difficult. But hey, that's how it goes when you come out a little bit slow. Wolves got a goal back through some pretty nice quick passing. I think when Pedro Neto comes back into this side, not only will it help my fantasy team, but I think Wolves' attack is starting to get figured out, and having Neto healthy and out there every game will help make this a more potent team. It's not to say that I think they'll move too much in the table. It looks like defensively now they're kind of struggling. Nottingham Forest had a good handful of shots and chances this game, but just didn't have the finishing. Wasn't clinical enough. So 1-1 draw I think is pretty fair on the day. Let's move on to one of my favorite games of the weekend: United versus Bournemouth. Ugh, what a treat this was for football fans around the world. Player of the month Harry Maguire, manager of the month Ten Hag, coming in at home against Bournemouth. Easy clap, right? For Bournemouth, you're right. I maybe it's a player of the month curse, manager of the month curse. Who knows? But damn, United just was not on it at all. Like, Bournemouth has definitely stepped up in recent weeks. They're getting their game together. They're starting to look more threatening, more secure in the back. And wow, it just Solanke just kind of flicks his way through and and finds a nice goal. Billing gets up to a great header, but he's between two United defenders, and I think it maybe was Dallow on the backside. He came in pretty late to that, but like, you shouldn't be coming in late to that anyway. You should be following your runner and really challenging for that. But that's just how this United team goes. I guess it's some people are on, some people are off, and you can't win them all. The third, just like, no one defends that corner at all. Bournemouth was just kind of cruising at this point. Very nearly made it 4-0 right at the death. Got a little unlucky with the deflection of that ball to pop off his hand. But that's the way the handball rule goes, right? If it pops off your hand, intentional, close to your body, or not, leads to a goal, then it's called a handball, which that'll come up later as well. Yikes for United, and I don't know what the attitude's got to be like in that locker room right now. You're coming off a rough few weeks. You got the win over Chelsea, but Chelsea's been pretty poor for a while. You lose 3-0 to Bournemouth at home, which is definitely a shock. So maybe it'll be a little bit of a wake-up call, hopefully, for United fans. But to come off of this performance and go right into Liverpool next week, that's going to be a doozy. I mean, you're away at Liverpool. You have a very recent history of getting absolutely battered by Liverpool. You're now going in there without Bruno because he decided to get a yellow card for dissent, which is like the dumbest move he could make. Like, that's not the attitude or the composure you need from your captain. We know Bruno is a little bit more emotional in this and does complain and sulk a little bit when things aren't going his way, but to now miss such a rivalry game of United versus Liverpool because you got your fifth yellow card for dissent is just a shame. I'm sure Bruno was wishing that sin bin was like active and in the Premier League already, and he could just take that instead of the ban. But here you go. That's your captain missing a big game away from home. If I'm United players, fans, coach, anyone involved, I'm pretty nervous going into next weekend. Anywho, let's see. You got Brighton versus Burnley next. Sorry, got a drink. Brighton is looking better, I'd say. Certainly not back to how they started the season, not as clinical and fluid and I guess maybe well-rounded as they started the season. But they've had their handful of injuries. Matoma's still working his way back, but when he's out there, he looks very threatening. He's still dribbling at players. He's causing a lot of issues. He's exciting to watch, and if they can get him up to full speed, full fitness again, I think Brighton will find the wins again. But this Burnley team is not one to lay down and just roll over. They put their fight in, and I think their goal was a little bit lucky in this one, honestly. Odobert, it's a great strike, but it does take a little bit of a flick, or sorry, not a flick, a touch, I guess, off the defender, which deflects it kind of out of reach of the Brighton's keeper, which, it happens. Not much you can do with that. I thought Brighton showed pretty good fight to get back into the game, but Burnley defensively was just popping off. Trafford had like 10 saves in this game, and some huge ones, especially towards the end of the game, to salvage a point for Burnley here, which, for where they're at in the table, is huge. Brighton on paper probably should breeze past Burnley, but they had the fight and I don't know, the grit, I guess, to get by and get a point away from home, which is definitely big. One stat I did catch, though, which was kind of interesting, I didn't realize, that Brighton is one of, well, for this game it was one of three, but now it's one of two teams that have yet to keep a clean sheet in the league, which is certainly concerning for Brighton. You got to get some clean sheets in there just to kind of like rally your defense, I think, and get them all on the same page. And it was Brighton, Sheffield, and Luton without a clean sheet. Sheffield, got their clean sheet this week, actually. But so you're in company with Luton, which Luton is certainly not a bad team, but newly promoted side, struggling so far. Not surprised that they haven't kept a clean sheet. Brighton, on the other hand, I think should have enough quality in their defensive end to maintain a clean sheet. I don't want to say it's this like pick a new keeper every week sort of deal that's causing issue, but I think that does disrupt it, right? Because you have your defensive line, and they work in tandem with the keeper, right? Whether it's positioning, call outs, just kind of like the chemistry, right? And changing keeper in and out every game or every other game or however often De Zerbi decides to, because there seems to be almost no pattern to it. It's got to just be a little disrupting. I know Dunk had missed a game or two for the suspension. Stupinian was out. Pascal Gross just came back, so that's kind of big. But yeah, I think Brighton would like to find a clean sheet here in the next few games, just to kind of solidify their defensive posture, I guess. Right? You can win games. You're playing the Arsenal under Unai Emery approach, right? Of like, we might not keep the clean sheets, but we're just going to outscore the other teams. But right now, you're just not outscoring the other teams either. So you got to find something. I think De Zerbi should kind of focus on the defense right now. Your attacking side is coming back together, bits and pieces, but I think that'll be easier to figure out, where the defensive end just will take some more time and a little more focus and training to get those consistent clean sheets to help you get 3 points rather than a 1 point takeaway against Burnley. But yeah, a good fight from both teams to get a point out of that game, honestly. On to Sheffield versus Brentford. Maybe the surprise of the weekend. Sheffield is, I think this is their second game with their new manager. Well, Chris Wilder, I think it is, returning, I guess. So new for now. It's a 1-0 win at home against Brentford. It's pretty big. Sheffield certainly needs the points, and the clean sheet is certainly nice to to not add to their goal differential in a negative way, because for a while they were shipping off 5 goals every week, and that was not going to cut it. It was maybe going to get you a record for most goals conceded, but I don't know if you want that one. Anywho, Onyeka had a pretty harsh challenge kind of early on. I think he's very lucky to have stayed on this game from that challenge. We've seen those challenges in recent weeks be just the straight red, because it's a step on foot, ankle, lower leg area has been just easy peasy red card, get him out the game. I don't know. I guess maybe reffing and VAR have softened on that to maybe let some of these more physical challenges go. So he benefited from that, I guess. Yeah, he stays on. Lucky for him, though. I think he probably should have been sent off for that tackle. Yeah, McAtee, great curling strike from top of the box to give Sheffield the lead. Another nomination for goal of the week here. I mean, those ones are just so nice to watch. Nice, good power, good curl, finds the corner of the goal. You love to see it. There was a moment in this game where Fotheringham is going to kick the ball from his goal, like drop kick it, and Mopé is just kind of standing in his way to deny the play that they're making. I think they're going from like left to right pretty much all game on those goal kicks, and Mopé's he's the guy that's gonna like mess with you a little bit, cause some stress, some issue for you, just because that's part of his game. But here, he ends up blocking the kick, and the ref, calls a foul and lets Fotheringham take a free kick to replace the goal kick, essentially, drop kick. But I don't think that's the right call here, honestly, because Mopé, while close to Fotheringham, is outside the box with his back turned. So for me, he's not doing anything wrong there. It's more Fotheringham has he's in the wrong place to take that kick himself, right? Because you see that there's someone in front of you potentially blocking your kick, or making it more difficult than if you took the kick elsewhere. But he proceeds to do it. I don't know that Mopé would have gotten to that ball anyway. I think Fotheringham would have collected that ball back up, no worries. But I do wonder if that ball gets blocked by Mopé and just deflects back into the goal. I don't know what the ref would have done, because he called a foul here, but when it goes to a goal, I think you maybe give the goal and then let VAR decide. And in that case, I think Mopé would be fine, right? Because he's outside of the box. He's not like jumping and waving his arms trying to actively block it. He's just standing outside of the box and turns his back as the kick's about to be taken, and it comes off him. So weird moment. Yeah, and I don't know if anything would have changed had that not been called a foul, but yeah, I'm not one to really support Neal Mopé, because he burned Leno and all his drama with Arsenal over the years, but I think he got it right on that one, but whatever. Big win for Sheffield. They need the points. Still in last place, but now level on points with Burnley and only one off of Luton. So safety's still far out of reach, but any points will help at this point, especially a win. Okay, let's get into Villa and Arsenal. Let me take a drink first. Okay. So, Villa coming off a big win midweek against City. They're feeling good. It's another game at home. The confidence is high. Unai's got everyone running full bore. Um, yeah, it was always going to be a tough game. Villa heading into this, I think it was 14 games unbeaten at home. Their last defeat at home was against Arsenal last season, so their home form has been outstanding. Yeah, and as shaky as some of their moments have been in the earlier part of the season, they're definitely coming together, really figuring it out what they're about, what Emery wants them to do, right? So here come Arsenal, league leaders going into the weekend. At this point, technically Liverpool was above, but they just played earlier. Yeah, it was an interesting watch, I'll say. It starts pretty hot. Villa's all over the place, making good runs. 6, 7 minutes in, Bailey makes a great run. Um, Finds that pass to McGinn in the box, and he slots it home. That's great start for Villa. Probably one of the worst starts you could have for Arsenal. And I think this was just I don't want to say maybe not like individual mistakes, but being a little overactive maybe. That pass at the halfway line comes inside, and Zinchenko kind of follows that ball in towards Gabriel, and by doing that leaves Bailey wide open on the wing, right? So I think that's mostly fine. We see that happen quite a bit of just kind of suffocating the play right there, but you got to block that pass, right? They did not, so that ball finds Bailey. He's quick. He's technical with his dribbling, and it kind of just puts Gabriel in a tough spot because now he has to go out and cover that, and does a pretty good job of it. I think my bigger issue is Declan Rice leaving the middle of the box to go help Gabriel in this, because he goes kind of like all the way towards the end line as Bailey's kind of moving somewhat past Gabriel here, and Declan Rice leaves that middle part of the box, which maybe someone's supposed to fill in once he moves, I don't know, but it leaves quite a big hole there, center of the box, where McGinn finds the space. Again, this could work out fine. This could be pretty normal, but you got to block the pass, right? And they don't, obviously. And McGinn slots it in nice and easy. Boom, done, right? You're thinking, I don't know, maybe they did 22 shots or whatever versus City's 2 midweek. Is this going to be one of those games? But no, like this was Villa's big moment, right? They didn't do much after that. It really was like Arsenal kind of controlling this game and not dominating, I'd say, but definitely having a firmer grip of the game than a 1-0 loss would show, I think. They lacked the finishing. They lacked the a little bit of the creative spark, I'd say. There were definitely some moments, but Odegaard, missed 2 big chances, maybe 3 if you want to call it that. Yeah, it just happened to be one of those games where the shots just wouldn't go in, right? Or Martinez would make a good save, which credit to him. But it felt like playing FIFA. One of those games where like you got the ball, you're playing the game, you're kind of controlling things. You get down there and you're taking the same shots you always do. Putting the same power on it, choosing the same side, same corner, whatever, and it just is not going in, or their keeper's popping off and making every save. It felt like that. It was one of those games where it just didn't really fall Arsenal's way, which, it happens. That's sport, right? Sometimes you can be the better team and it just not click for you. But this was always going to be a tough game. So to see Arsenal go out there and I'd say really take it to Villa was nice to see. I think this is how all these like top four, five, six team games will go, right? We saw Arsenal and Man City earlier in the season, and it was tight like this. One goal margin. Villa and Arsenal, obviously, one goal margin here. I think that's just how these games are going to go. It's going to take a team making a mistake and the other team capitalizing on that mistake to really figure out, or to get the win in these games, because it is just like this table is just crazy right now. There's so many teams that are performing really well and finding the wins, and that's how it goes sometimes. It's just, you want the win, obviously, but it can't always be that way. There were some VAR moments I think we need to talk about. Okay, so Crystal Palace gets the penalty for a very similar kick on Gabriel Jesus. Again, I'm saying these are soft, but the reffing Premier League refs and VAR just called this 5 hours earlier, right? So you gotta, I think, for the sake of consistency, call this. It's soft. I am fully agreeing with that. But I think just because we saw it earlier, like you almost have to. Your hands are almost tied with this call. So that's a bummer to see it go two different ways in one weekend. Oh well. There was a Diego Carlos straight elbow on Nketiah way off the ball. Don't know what happened there. Diego Carlos is turning to kind of, I guess, track Nketiah here, but it's he sees him on his backside and just full elbow with force turn into Nketiah, and my God, if VAR is not going to call that, using your forearm, elbow, whatever as a weapon, then it's put them bows out and just start swinging them, because you're getting away with everything this season. Yeah, that one was really surprising, honestly, because you see these elbows and normally they are called, but not this season, and I don't know why. That one especially, it's not that they're both challenging for the ball in the air or anything. That was off the ball, right? And that's just a straight elbow to the head, and for VAR to not want to really do anything with that, I don't know. I don't really want to get into the conspiracy side of it, that because Arteta called out some of the reffing after the Newcastle game, that they're being, I guess, not helping Arsenal when they need to. I don't want to get into that necessarily, but this is now two elbows that have gone unpunished. So interesting. And then, in Arsenal fashion, trying to get a late goal, nearly does. It's a mess of handballs. I think this is a fault of the handball rule, right? Ball comes in, hits Matty Cash, maybe on the arm, or it might be high enough on upper arm shoulder area that they wouldn't call it a handball anyway. Pops off of Havertz, I think more chest than hand, honestly. Back onto Matty Cash, which then is a clear handball, which then pops back onto Havertz's hands. There's another maybe handball or two in there, and then Kai kicks it in. Looks like it's a goal, right? It's just it's a weird one. Ref calls it a handball on the field, so he's, I don't know, maybe 20 yards away. That's pretty good vision to see a handball from that far away in that tight little mess that they were. But I think it's probably the right call at the end of the day. I think it's just the handball rule is so it's one big gray area, right? Like, did they both handle the ball? Yeah. Both unintentionally, though, I'd say. And if you go to, who handled the ball first out of a natural position, I think you could argue Matty Cash. But then, the current ruling on it is if the scoring player handles the ball intentionally or unintentionally, and it leads to a goal, then that goal has to be called off. So, by that ruling, this is correct. But if all of that like back and forth handball action happens and it happens to fall to Nketiah, who's right there, and he kicks it in, I think that goal stands. Because I don't think you would call a handball necessarily on either one of them because it is such close quarters, balls bouncing back and forth. I don't know. It's a really weird one. I think the handball rule needs a little bit more strictness or like guideline to it. It sometimes seems to like really benefit defenders, which I think is mostly fair. I think if the scoring player had handled the ball prior to that and it leads to a goal, I think that's fair. But I think there has to be a little bit more nuance in that, right? Of like, I mean, if it's intentional, and obviously like that you got to call that a handball anyway. But if it is unintentional, in a natural position, I guess, like, I think you maybe let that go. I don't know. And that's not just because like I want Arsenal to get a point here. That's just that handball rule is I feel like it changes every season. They got to kind of lock it down at this point. It's too wishy-washy. I need black and white on this, with a little bit of nuance, but like mostly black and white. Anyway, yeah, bummer for Arsenal to not get the win, but good on Villa. They're riding high. I do think Arsenal kind of outplayed them at home, which I'm happy to see. Arsenal's still looking threatening, and like Arteta said, he wants to dominate games, and I think he very nearly did. And I think that's maybe a little bit because of Villa playing later in midweek and giving a lot against City, so they were probably a little bit more fatigued going into this. But yeah, without getting too much into Arteta drama, they're still waiting for the FA to decide his punishment for his Newcastle comments, and there's certainly a strong feeling in the Arsenal fanship that this ban, that it will be a ban, and it'll come right in time for the Liverpool game. Which, if that's the case, then the FA's just messing around now. They're doing whatever they want. So yeah, we'll see. But like, either figure that out or don't. Like say you're gonna to give him some punishment, or just like, we had our talk, we had our meeting, let's move forward, sort of thing. But really, like, it's still just so bad. That Arteta's getting asked questions about these calls and stuff after the game, and he can't really say anything because he doesn't want to put himself, the club, or the team in any sort of more risk. So you're not letting coaches or players talk about moments in the game and big moments in the game because you don't want your refs to be criticized, or like the calls to be criticized, which, like, I get a little bit. You don't want the mistrust around the refs and all that, and you want to keep that respect and like kind of level of authority and all that, but like, you got to be able to comment on it, right? I don't know. So that was Saturday games done. Sunday, there's still some excitement, Everton versus Chelsea. We said last week, Everton at home against Chelsea, it's going to be an Everton win, and we were correct. Everton is doing exactly what I thought they would do but it took them a while to get here. They're keeping it pretty scrappy, high energy, but staying really organized, especially in defense, which is like Sean Dyche bread and butter, right? Like scrappy, fight for the win, but we don't let you get a goal easy peasy. And they did that here, and Chelsea, as much talent as might be in the squad, again could not get anything done. Mudryk, time and time again, was fed the ball on that left swing and was running it down, and he gets to that final third, and I swear to you, his mind goes blank as he enters the final third. He either crosses that thing like terribly far or way off target, makes the worst pass, or wants to try and dribble in and shoot and just like dribbles straight into the guy and like forgets any dribbling skill he might have. So, just Chelsea doing Chelsea things. But not too much more to say about this. I think the question marks has to come up, like, can you put Pochettino in the hot seat? I don't know if you can. Like, where do they go from here? I'm sure that you can find another manager that'll jump at the opportunity to come into Premier League at a big team and a team that's willing to spend money. So I think you could find a replacement. I don't know if there is a good replacement though. Like, Pochettino should be the guy you want to kind of build with. Unfortunately, you brought in a lot of players prior to him getting there, so and they're on long contracts, so you're kind of stuck with what you got. I did see Pochettino today publicly calling for more transfers in the January market. I think he said he wants a striker, a midfielder, and a defender, which, like, I mean, Chelsea and strikers we know is a poisoned chalice, right? They will throw money at strikers and players in general, and that doesn't necessarily always pan out. So we'll see what they do. Spend more money. I'll be surprised if it's more young guys on super long contracts. I think Pochettino will want to get some experienced players in there. I don't know. I don't know what they do. Anyway, let's go to Luton versus Man City. No Haaland and no Doku for this. Haaland, I think, had a foot injury, and Doku, I think, was like ankle injury or something. So, missing two key players, but you do get Rodri back and Grealish back from their yellow card suspensions. This game pretty much played out as we expected. It was all City, just really running the game. Luton was standing really firm, really strong, though, to not let in an early goal, or nothing too easy at least. And then, man, Luton had this, great moment right before half to take the lead, and everyone's like eyebrows raised at that point, like, oh, this might be a game. And Man City's been on this not losing but not winning streak. So to see Luton go up into halftime that's exciting, right? Everyone loved that. And second half starts, City comes back out, remembers how to play, and Luton kind of fall apart in a span of, I think, like 2.5 minutes, which is a bummer. That second goal especially was just like a little bit luck on Man City's part that it pops off, I think, Alvarez's like neck, chin, or whatever, and kind of starts a counterattack from there. But then just the defending still from Luton at that point was just miserable. That ball rolls across the box, and whoever the defender was at the back, like, kind of tries to clear it, but wants the ball to get past him so then he can turn onto it to clear it, and it just brain melts and completely misses the ball. And of course Grealish is there to pick it up and slot it home. So that's a bummer that the possibility of a Man City loss was gone in an instant. Yeah. Jacob Brown, I think, is very lucky to have stayed on. It was similar to um, Onyeka's tackle. Um, that like kind of step on the foot, ankle, lower leg. This one was probably even more egregious than that one though, and I don't know. VAR checked it, said the yellow was fine. At least publicly, they only showed the one view, which I don't think really did the tackle justice. But I think it still showed enough to warrant a red card for a serious foul play, dangerous tackle. Yeah, I guess lucky for Luton they didn't have to lose a defender there or a player there, but yeah, they couldn't get a goal back. So City get a return to winning ways, but it was nice to see them not win in like 4 games. So let's keep that rolling, people. But on to a team that is flying high, Fulham. Who knew? Fulham. Another 5-0 win for Fulham. Like, what? Yeah, I don't know. I would not have predicted a 5-0 win against West Ham, especially after how West Ham played last week. I think David Moyes just didn't learn from what worked. I guess he tinkered with the lineup and set up again, playing Bowen up top instead of on the wing, which I think was a mistake. I think Bowen is a much better threat from the wing. Kudus, started kind of like played that wing role, but I don't think that's where he's best utilized. He has the speed and technicality in his play to be a winger, but I think as we saw last game, I think him up top is a little bit more threatening, and I would have liked to see that more than Bowen up there. But wow, Fulham, Polina with a great ball into Jimenez to get the scoring started. And I think, once that goal went in, it looked like West Ham just, I don't know, they almost like checked out right at that point. They seemed so static and just so often caught ball watching. And, Fulham took advantage of that, right? West Ham wouldn't really press them too much, would give them a lot of time and space on the ball and let Fulham play their game, and West Ham got really punished for it. Tosin gets a goal. I think it probably should have been an own goal, though. Not that it really matters too much at this point. Like, he definitely heads it on target, but then Kufal maybe like flicks it on. So I don't know. To me, that looks a little bit more own goalie than just a harsh deflection or something. But whatever. Doesn't really matter in the end, I guess. Fulham flying high. Yeah, let's jump into the last game of the week. Tottenham versus Newcastle. Should be a fun one, right? Both very energetic and attacking teams. It was not. Yeah, 4-1 to Spurs at home. Tottenham get back to their winning ways after a little bit of a rough patch, getting some guys back from suspension and injury, so that's certainly a plus for them. But Son is out there just Son on the wing. I think is such a different beast than Son playing up top. In his years with Harry Kane obviously is up top and Son's on the wing, and we saw so many great connections between the two of them and how they work together, and rightfully so. I think Son was moved to the center once Kane left because he probably is your best striker. But I mean, seeing him now on the wing with the Charleston up top, Son just looked like his old self, right? Causing a lot of issue. I think he got 2 assists? Yeah, 1 goal, 2 assists in this game. So he was cooking out there, and he made Trippier look like a damn fool. Just like kind of stutter stepping up to him and Trippier could not handle it one bit. Um, so, that's great for Tottenham. I think that's probably their formation moving forward. Not a great look for Newcastle. Richarlison has not scored a lot, and you let him get two on you, which is not good. I think Newcastle is certainly feeling the effects of all their injuries, so they can't rotate as much as they might want to. And I think you're kind of just seeing maybe not a lack of skill that's in that team, but I think some of that like weird new manager, new owner juju is like wearing off a little bit. Isak doesn't look like a great striker at this point, which is disappointing, and the rest of the team is just a little bit flat. And I get it; they don't have a lot of options to rotate, or even subs to bring in. They're playing some young guys out there, which you have to sometimes. But 4-1 away at Tottenham is certainly not a good look. They now have lost 6 this season, which I think their top 4 hopes are probably fading away pretty quick here. Yeah, certainly not the season they had in mind. Return to Champions League. Maybe you go all in on that, and if you can kind of salvage a 5, 6, 7, 8th position in the league, but go far in Champions League, I think you can still call it somewhat a successful season. I don't know. We'll see. Last little thing on this game though was Romero again with just a bad tackle. The same one we saw from Onyeka and the same one we saw from Brown of that step on the foot, ankle, lower leg area, like the same one he got red carded for, a few games back. So he's not learned a lesson, that's for sure. But I think probably lucky to only get a yellow on this. Like, I don't know when that ruling changed, but VAR is saying it's okay. I guess maybe being a little more lenient, saying like it maybe wasn't intentional if it was mistimed, but I think these are red card challenges, and 3 players were lucky this week to get away with that. I wouldn't be surprised if next week someone makes this challenge and it's a red card, because I think it always has been and it always will be, except for this weekend for some reason. So I don't know. Maybe the refs are feeling the fatigue from midweek matches as well. I guess maybe we don't take that into account, but like with VAR, I think you should see these and see the danger of these tackles and be able to give a red card pretty easy for that. So I don't know. That's what it is. Yeah, what a weekend of footy. Some surprising results in there, some not so surprising. This table is getting crazy. Liverpool take the lead now at 37 points, with Arsenal right behind them at 36, Villa at 30 35, City at 33, Tottenham 30. That top 5 is very tight. Man U's right behind at 27, but I don't think they're going to stay up in that realm for much longer. Yeah, it's been a great season so far. Very exciting stuff. I'd rather this table be tight and switch back and forth, and especially with the dark horse of Aston Villa. Like I said last week, the mission needs to be get City out of Champions League. If we could knock City out of 4th place, the madness that would ensue at the end of the season, I think, would be incredible. So let's see what happens. Heading into next week, I think your biggest games are probably Arsenal and Brighton, and Liverpool and Man United. I think Arsenal should be okay against this Brighton team. It's Arsenal at home, so they could probably bounce back here. But I think all eyes on that Liverpool versus Man U game, especially coming off that 7-3 7-goal thriller last season. I think fans and the team may want a redo of that, right? Like round 2. It'll be an interesting watch for sure. But here we are. No Michael, so I get full say of the best of the week. And honestly, goal-wise, nothing was like super crazy. But man, I think I got Harvey Elliott in there, James McAtee for sure, and I think his name's Harry Wilson from Fulham. Hang on, let me double check this. Pro podcaster here, slow down. Yeah, Harry Wilson. All three were great strikes. You love to see these beautiful goals go in. All three fairly similar, I'd say. So I think I got to go Harvey Elliott on this purely for the context. It is Crystal Palace. I think Liverpool shouldn't have been in this position that they were in. But that's a big goal to get right at the start of stoppage time. Harvey Elliott, take a bow. It's a great strike at a great moment. Gets your team the 3 points. Boom, done. Player of the week, I got Alisson on the list for 3 big saves. You can't deny Salah's impact, a goal and an assist here. Trafford, Burnley couldn't get the win, but he had 10 saves, which is pretty incredible. And a lot of those were great saves. And of course, Son with 1 goal, 2 assists. This is a little bit more difficult than I thought it might be, honestly. On one hand, Trafford with 10 saves is like kind of my standout, I think. But Alisson made some massive saves to keep Liverpool in this game at times and to keep the 3 points. So that's big. Tottenham going 4-1 over Newcastle is certainly a great result. But maybe not as surprising as we might think. You know what? This is my podcast this week, so we're going Alisson and Trafford. Alisson, these big key saves, keeps Liverpool in it, gives them the win, and takes them to the top of the table. That's massive. It was only 3 saves, but massive. Trafford, on the other hand, 10 saves. You love to see a keeper having a day, and he was having it. Very nearly got away with the win at Brighton. Keepers, they're doing it. They're the players of the week. Alisson, Trafford. Team of the week, I'll give another shout out to Fulham, another 5-0 win, but it's got to be Bournemouth. Away at United, 3-0, nearly 4-0. We love to see United fail, and thank you Bournemouth for doing it. It's got to be Bournemouth. 3-0 away at United. Oof, that club, they're going through some stuff and have been for a while. So Bournemouth take advantage of that. Get team of the week. That's how we do it. I somehow almost went for an hour on this. So if Michael was here, maybe this would have been even longer. Who knows? But he should be back next week, fully recovered, match fit, firing on all cylinders. Maybe I won't make this so dark next time. The light's different, I don't know. Anyway, that's been Hooligan's Pitch, episode 54? Question mark. 54. Episode 54 in the books. Solo edition. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.